Yet another edition of Conversations, and today we'll be talking about a very controversial topic, rape. When is rape rape? When is rape defilement? When is rape not rape? We're going to look at it from a very broad perspective, and hopefully within this 1 hour we should be able to educate you about the rights and wrongs, do's and don'ts. Times are changing. What was acceptable 10 years ago might not be acceptable today, and so on and so forth. My name is Deva Mom. I'm not alone in the studio. I have a well-balanced representation today. We have 2 males and 2 females, and I'll allow my first guest to introduce himself and everybody else.
Yeah, okay. My name is Dr. Olai Fatimei. I'm a lecturer with Bayero University, Kano. I teach theater and performing arts.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello everyone, it's Nike, representing the women.
Thank you. My name is Akobon Loike. I'm a lawyer.
Okay, so you can see it's a full house. We have a lawyer, we have an academic, we have our very own dear Nike, and you know how cool and calm she goes with her very sharp barbs. And you also have me in my fiery spirit. It promises to be an interesting one. So do remain with us as we take this Vox Pop and come back to the studio for further discussions.
Domestic violence, also known as domestic abuse, battering, or family violence, is a pattern of behavior which involves violence or other forms of abuse by a person against another in a domestic setting, such as in a marriage, cohabitation, or general family setting. It ranges from physical, verbal, economic, religious, emotional, reproductive, and sexual abuse. Sometimes it appears subtle or coercive, but it is still abuse. Domestic violence occurs when the abuser believes that the abuse is acceptable, justified, or unlikely to be reported. It usually produces intergenerational cycles of abuse in children and other family members who may feel such violence is acceptable or condoned. Statistics show that globally, the victims of domestic violence are mostly women, and that it is steadily on the increase. Research has established a direct and significant correlation between a country's level of gender equality and the rates of domestic violence. Unfortunately, it is the most underrated crime, even though it is fast on the increase, leading to lots of hurts, harm, and even loss of lives.
When there's a child out there that's not getting the same that your own child is getting, the difference will tell, and there will come a time in the society where that child is going to take his pound of flesh.
Where you can actually, everything from watching a program with the child, you can start off the conversation from something on the TV and say, oh, you know.
For me, it's like, hurry up with this business. And the other one said, Auntie, it's not about me, it's about the guys. They're not ready to marry.
Yes. If she wants to ask something, no, I know my mother very well. In fact, the most interesting one is when I put up pictures on WhatsApp, you know, Snapchat filters and all that, she will call me, remove that picture. There was a day, I got tired of all that and I
Back in the studios, and well, we will be sharing our own thoughts, views, and opinions on the issue of rape, which I think we can all agree can be quite contentious, scandalous, gray. It's almost never easy to agree on when a rape, especially a non-violent rape, has occurred. And of late, there's been quite a bit of stuff going on in the news. And in fact, if you're somebody who follows the news regularly, it seems as if there's an increase in rape incidents. I don't know if there's an increase in rape incidents. I don't know if it's because the definition of rape seems to be evolving. I don't know if it's just that we have more access to that kind of information. I don't know if it's that more victims are now willing to speak up than before. But whatever it is, it almost always seems as if rape is almost always in the news. So I think before we go any further, it's important to start with what we think rape is. I know the lawyer is going to give us the legal definition of it, but I would like to know, Ola, for instance, what you think rape is as a layperson, somebody who is not a lawyer.
Well, for me, I'll say rape occurs when there is no consent. So there is the application of force on either of the victims. It could be male or female. So that's what I see as rape, that as far as there is no consent, this person says no, but the other party insists, then rape has occurred.
Okay, what about you, Nike? What do you think?
I know there are different views on rape in Nigeria and then outside. There are issues on whether or not the woman agrees to it and then halfway through says no, and it still happens, and then it's called rape. And then there are issues on where exactly or what exactly was, what part of the body was invaded on, because some people feel, well, if it went through another way, it's not rape. But that's, I know the barrister will help us when it comes to definitions, because I know where and what position and what, you know, those kind of things also play a part into whether or not it was rape.
Yeah. Now that you bring up the issue of orifices, so to
Orifice,
speak,
thank you. That's the word.
it just brought to mind a different dimension. For instance, if somebody is forced into a position of carrying out oral sex, is that rape? You know, so maybe our lawyer can now help us with a more clear legal framework within which we can base our definitions.
Yeah, thank you. You know, like you said, this topic is a very, I won't say controversial, delicate one, because everything involving man and woman is supposed to be shrouded in some secrecy. But because we have to discuss it, we have to say it as it is. She's using orifice. Rape is defined as unlawful carnal knowledge of a woman or girl without her consent, or with her consent if the consent is obtained by force or by fraud or by mispresentation.
Okay.
So this is just the short form of it.
Okay, but from the definition, you
There's a
gave now,
problem.
that means a man can't be raped.
Yes.
Yes.
In the Nigerian context.
Yes.
Really?
That's nice.
No, it's not
But
nice.
there are other offenses.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just going to be.
It's not, I mean,
Okay, a man, it can't technically be defined as rape.
Well,
So what
there
can
are-
happen to a man?
There
What
are
term is
offenses
used?
of indecent assault on male or on female.
Okay.
Okay.
Nikki has been dying to ask a question.
So for the purposes of rape in Nigeria, it has to be a man who has
on a woman.
on a woman.
Yes.
That's how it is.
Yes.
I don't think I actually knew that it was like that. I thought
I
I
mean-
mean there are young boys who have other people have had carnal knowledge of them. Does that mean they were not raped? Is that
what you're saying is that
it's not rape.
You
It's only a woman
you
that
can't
can be
use that
raped.
term.
but you can use another word.
You can use sexual assault.
Indecent assault.
Indecent
on males.
assault when it involves. You know, when back when I still had this notion that rape had to involve like, you know, beating somebody to a pulp and then doing stuff to them. When I'd hear, because in other contexts, outside the Nigerian context,
Yes.
it is agreed that a female can rape a male. And I used to think, okay, men need to get in the mood for anything to. So if his body has already consented, Because if his body doesn't consent, the woman can't do anything anyway. So if his body has already consented, can it still be rape? Because it's the unwillingness that makes it rape, whether it's verbalized or not. That's my thinking. So if, for instance, the man of the house corners the housemaid and tells her, if you like, don't cooperate with me, let me see who will pay your salary this month. And she quietly goes to do something with him, only because she's frightened that she will not be paid her salary. Okay, she didn't verbalize that I don't want to, but clearly if she had her way, she wouldn't. So it's rape, yeah? So beyond verbalizing the negative or verbalizing your refusal, the fact that the person is mentally not in a place to want to consent is enough for it to be rape.
Yeah.
So for a man to be aroused enough to carry on the sexual act,
yes,
it means in his mind he has consented, except if that arousal was extracted by way of some chemical inducement, like maybe the person's drink was spiced with some, But if that's not the case, and the man gets aroused by himself, how can that still be rape when, as far as I'm concerned, he has mentally consented
to it?
Well, I don't think there is any justification for the act.
Yeah.
Because whatever it is that has happened inside his head, and then he decides to use force on that other person, then there is a crisis.
Yes, let me come in because you're going to something very critical in proving offenses. 2 elements must occur before an offense is said to have been committed. Technically, we call it the actus reus and the mens rea.
Okay.
The actus reus is the physical act that constitutes the offense. Then the mens rea is the guilty intent, the guilty mind with which you do it. That's where you're going. So if there is no volition in committing the offense, even though there's a physical act, for instance, somebody is pointed gun on a man, say, sleep with this woman, I'll shoot you. There's the physical act of sleeping with a woman, having carnal knowledge. But the mens rea is absent. So that's where you're going. So can the person be said to have raped the other person?
Yeah.
So there's no volition. So there must be that guilty intent to achieve what the physical body is doing. It has to be accompanied by a guilty intent for an offense to be complete.
So how about a situation where a man is provoked into that, is aroused, just like she mentioned, not because he planned it, maybe indecent dressing, he's just facing his business.
I love that you brought that part up. We'll look more at it.
And then this happens, right?
Indecent dressing.
Yes.
And you decide to be aroused.
And then he got aroused, not because he planned that, okay, he's going to rape this person, but...
Okay, I'll paint this scenario for you.
Yeah.
If I come and park my brand new Mercedes Jeep on this express and walk away to my house, so you're free to go and drive it away.
No, you're not.
It's not about the freedom, it's crime. You understand? But we are talking about
how does it concern you?
You are talking about preconceived
way.
intent. You are talking about preconceived intent.
Yes.
This person never thought about
I didn't
this.
use the word preconceived intent. The guilty intent to achieve what you wanted to do. It could form at any time.
Okay, let's remove the adjectives. Intent.
Yes.
You are saying that the arousal happened by chance.
Yes, I mean, spur of the moment.
Spur of the moment.
Yes.
Because like we're always told men are visual creatures, they're aroused by what they see and so on and so forth. And I think to some degree it must be true because certainly they use it in advertising. That's why you see so many attractive and half-naked women in adverts that target men.
Yeah.
You cannot target women by putting half-naked women in it. You understand? So certainly there must be some truth to the thinking that men are aroused by what they see. Now, when you go from, wow, this woman is beautiful, to, okay, I need to do something about it, whether she likes it or not, that's when it becomes a problem. But for me, I would come to it from this perspective. I like what you said about leaving the Benz with the keys inside. Ordinarily and properly, even if you threw the doors open and walked away, because we know there's a consequence for that, you should leave the car alone.
Yes.
And look the other way and walk away.
Yes.
But we know that as far as we're human beings, there are always people out there who feel the law does not apply to me. The rules don't apply to me. There will always be bad people. There have been bad people from the days of Genesis to date. And these people will always go the extra mile. They always work outside the confines of the law. Now, is it not your responsibility as a person to do everything you can to make it more difficult for the bad guy to get to you? Not necessarily agreeing about provocative dressing, but just generally in context. If I know that I've got valuables in my house and I've got plenty of money and everything, I know my security man has traveled, I know I don't have like maybe some kind of electronic burglary device,
yeah.
and then I proceed to leave all my doors unlocked and go to bed, do I really have the right to complain that somebody came into my house and robbed me, knowing fully that whether I like it or not, there are bad people who are always out there looking for something wrong to do? No, I mean,
I don't understand you, but you are stretching. There is something you're stretching too far. You know, in law, we say volenti non fit injuria. You can't complain of something you consented to.
yes.
You understand? For instance, you play football, I kick you, you kick me. Because I agreed to play the football. If I injure you in the course of the football, I won't be held liable for injuring you.
Okay.
You say
Because it comes with the
volenti non
territory.
fit injuria. Now, this principle you're stretching, does it apply to crimes? That because I am careless, therefore,
Because you've tempted
there's something we used to joke with, where one guy said, look, all this your adultery stuff is not for me. If my brother's wife carelessly keeps his thing, I will carelessly collect it. Yeah.
I get what you're
That's
saying.
what you're trying to say.
No, no, not at all. Not at all.
That's where you're going. That
Let
if
me-
he keeps it carelessly,
let me
I
land.
will too be tempted to.
Let me land.
Yeah, but
I'm not even, I'm not
but
even
the
talking
point,
about
but
temptation.
even with that one, you see, again, it comes back to what I was saying. You know, for instance, that this area is not so safe, but it's your brand new Benz, right? You park your car, you leave your cars there, and you leave. I mean, and you expect the car to be safe because it's your car, right? You expect
In a
it to
perfect
be,
world.
Yeah, you expect it to be safe because
the
it's your
world is
car, but
not perfect.
you leave it there.
The fact that I was held for laxity in keeping my thing does not absolve the offender.
Oh no, we're not talking
we're
about
not
absolution.
absolving
But you're
we're
saying
not-
at least there should be some.
Yes.
What we're
Don't
saying
even
is,
tempt the devil.
what we're saying, or where I am coming from, and I think he's coming from too, is don't you owe yourself a responsibility to make it as hard as possible,
I agree
for
with
the
you.
bad guy
Someone
to make you a victim?
To access you.
You understand?
I agree with you.
Now, if you park your car in a safe place that's gated and locked and everything and burglary and all that, and the bad guys always find a way. But later when people hear the story, they'll be like, no, wait till you drink safe. You don't go all smoke one strong igbo. See the fence where you climb. Did this and all that and all that. Then juxtapose that with, you went and parked your car at zone 4, which is one of the busiest areas of Abuja. Then you're in a hurry to talk to that guy across the road. So you threw the door open, left the car in the ignition, left it there, and then you ran there to talk to that person, and you fully expected that when you came back, you just
car
hop
was
into your
still
car and drive off. Listen, even in church, you lock your door. When you're 30 minutes late for mass, you lock your door. People go to mosque, leave their shoes at the entrance and come out and don't find them.
Yeah.
So we're saying, don't you think there's a need as a human being? Don't you owe yourself a certain responsibility to make it harder for the bad guy to make you a victim?
You are perfectly correct. I'll go back to a saying in my place. They say you don't stay in the presence of the kite. You know, kite comes to carry chicken in
Yes.
the morning and tell the chicken that you post trade outside my compound. Why did you go as far as the other man's compound? Kite wouldn't have seen you to carry you. What you need to do is to chase the kite as far as possible. Come and say, come, no, no, they cross here. See where I'm going to stay the chop. Because if you tell them in the presence of the kite will know that they are careless.
But why is
That's
it-
what I mean. This thing you're saying is a matter for the room. Please don't dress, you give yourself out to these bad boys. But it's not something you say, now they'll say, I have stories to tell you, experiences. Somebody was queen in a bank. A lady dressed with heaviness. The guy went and stood behind and was rubbing and messed up the whole place.
It happens all the time. It happens all the
So
time.
will you now say because the lady was provocatively dressed, the guy was correct to? You know, there was a queue on a Friday. People were trying to rush to get. They were struggling. Started slapping the young man.
But what
You know what
man
you're
did
saying?
was not
So
deliberate.
what you're
He was
saying, Devan,
responding
well,
to, you see, that's the issue. He was responding to the circumstance. Yeah, he was responding.
So
he
are
did
you
not-
trying to say that women, we should dress and shroud ourselves in
You have to
boo-boos
protect
just
yourself. Don't
Yes.
make it possible for
What
somebody
about
to.
self-defense classes? What if I just happen to like tight-fitting clothes?
Then that's
Just
what
what
she's
if?
saying.
Just
Even
what if?
though it's not a reason for somebody to misbehave,
It's not
but
a reason
have
for
to
you to.
make it
It's not a
impossible.
reason for
Like
you
I
to
mentioned, there
invade
is
my
no,
privacy
there is no
or
justification,
to rub against
right?
me.
There is no justification
No, there
at
isn't.
all for someone to assault any other person sexually. But we are saying that there are preventive measures.
Like self-defense classes.
No, like decent dressing.
Decent dressing is actually key to it. I will just tell you
I
small
disagree.
stories when we were younger. When you see a young girl put this chaplet on, you don't not even tell her hello. You will think she's too religious. Some people use it to protect themselves, or the other one's scapula. Yes. You don't talk to the person.
Yeah, the way you dress
So
inside
I
the
agree with you.
signposts.
There are things you do.
However,
nobody will
sir,
come and
after
talk to
I
you anyhow.
agree, but still, girls who are completely covered, completely dressed, still get assaulted, still get
Under what
raped,
circumstance?
even when they're covered. So I don't
Or
think
is it
dressing
on the road
really
or in a
is.
public place.
I don't think dressing.
I agree. There must be some yielding.
Precisely. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
I don't agree to the dressing. I'm sorry.
See, for me, I was coming at this thing purely from a devil's advocate perspective.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because I agree that provocative or indecent dressing, for instance, what I might consider decent dressing, somebody else will be like, I shall. You understand?
No.
So it's
No.
a bit subjective.
Decency has a
Decency
standard.
is decency. You can't be provocative.
This is a
and think in
Nigerian
your
factor.
No, wait,
That's coming in.
let me get to where I'm going.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a Christian, for instance, what I think is reasonably decent, somebody who comes from a more conservative religious background will be like, I can see her ankles. You understand? Her wrists are showing. Hey, I saw all of her neck. You understand? Now, that's where I'm coming from. I'm also coming from, in fact, I disagree that indecent dressing can lead to rape. And just allow me to land. I was just playing devil's advocate to see how we would go with this. Remember, we come from a culture of nudity. Do we agree?
Yes.
Innocent nudity.
What
Qualify it.
what is innocent nudity? What is innocent?
Innocent nudity.
No,
Is there
let me
another
get to where
type?
I'm going.
Yes.
What makes that nudity innocent?
Thank you.
And another nudity not innocent? It's still
Knowledge.
Nudity.
It's just nudity.
No,
Let's
the
agree.
nudity is not nudity.
Okay,
Yes.
fine.
I've
But
shown you where they posted Obafemi Awolowo. They were kids, all naked. They took pictures, and people were saying, "Why were they naked?" That's
At what
what was
age?
happening. They were kids.
now I am
There's a
talking.
dance in my place. You dance it when you get to puberty. No bra, nothing. I grew up to meet it. My elder sister, our elder sister, took part. It was, I think, after her, the thing stopped. They were full-blown dancing in the village square. Go and touch them. I say innocent nudity. I know what I mean.
What do you mean?
Did you
Are
not
the
watch
breasts
Brenda
showing?
Fassie? Did you not watch Brenda?
No, sir.
Go and rape her.
Yeah.
It's their culture.
Music
I think you are
videos and all
getting. Just calm down.
Okay.
A 16-year-old is sitting here, firm breasts, and they're fully exposed. There are two of them. How do I know which nudity is innocent and which one is guilty?
I'm giving you the context now.
Yeah,
They are
exactly.
dancing in the village where they are playing.
So they are
But
playing.
dancing, that's why your breasts will really jiggle and everything. If I'm a man who is aroused by firm breasts, the fact that firm young breasts are in front of me jiggling, I will not even hear the music. You
But the
understand?
context won't allow you to misbehave.
Okay, fine, but let me get to where I'm going. Anyway, we're spending too much time on this.
Okay.
We come from a culture of nudity. Every Nigerian culture has a background of nudity, where in the pubescent years, the girls would just have a string or two of beads
course,
around their
around
waist, very firm breasts, going to the farm, bending over, you can see the whole thing going on there, going to the stream and everything, and nobody's child got raped. In fact, that was when girls went to their husbands' homes as virgins. Now, all of a sudden, we come to town. A man sees my thighs and he cannot control himself. What happened? A man sees a bit of cleavage and all of a sudden he's trembling. What is the problem? Is it the context?
That has shifted, yes.
Context has shifted because in the westernized context, a woman's body is heavily sexualized. So that, I remember I was in Makudi a few months back. Makudi is the capital of Benue State, so it's relatively urban. So this village was just on the outskirts. I went there to see somebody. And his young wife, who couldn't be up to 30, you know, she just had a wrapper around her waist. She was holding a baby who was breastfeeding on one side, and she was completely naked from here up. It wasn't the men staring, it was me, in shock. I mean, she was going about her business, doing her thing. Nobody was giving her a second glance. I was with 5 men, nobody was looking at her. She was breastfeeding her baby, doing her thing, and going all over the place. I was the one who would, from time to time, I was like, certainly she's not mad, you know. I couldn't believe it. My mind shut down. But they were used to it. So it didn't mean anything, did it? So why is it that all of a sudden when you come to town, a woman reveals a bit of cleavage, a small bit of thigh, and then all of a sudden she got raped because she's indecently dressed? You are men, explain.
Being a man does not mean you will understand the motive.
That's why I'm coming at you with the whole decent dressing thing.
Again, you see, we cannot shy away from the fact that indecent dressing contributes so much to it.
How much?
People who don't live in societies where such exposures are constant, move into a community where people dress like that. I mean, I've seen people on queues, simply because they rub bodies with females, they get aroused.
Yeah. It happens.
I find that really absurd.
Oh God, it's happened to me more times than I care to count.
And
as a younger lady.
That is not.
Wow.
That is not merely. You see, this is why the context matters, because it's not just a biological response to rubbing the body.
Okay.
It's also social. Like in his construction as a person, this does not happen. I mean, anything that will bring a man and a woman so close enough to rub bodies must be intimate. That's his head, and that psychologically triggers the biological.
But in that
reaction.
context, it doesn't have to be about your dress.
No,
It
this
doesn't.
one is just an instance because
Okay.
they got so close.
Okay.
But there are people, by merely just seeing you the way they don't see women ordinarily.
It triggers something.
Yes, it triggers something, and some people have such high libidos that they want gratification. They
Instant
want
gratification.
yes. So you know.
So, bottom line, what you're saying is that we are not safe. Married, not married, women are not safe.
No,
Hide
you
your
see,
daughters.
you see, again, that was why I
Because
said
now I'm like, wow, really?
you can only speak for yourself and your social sphere.
Yeah.
Once you are going out of your social sphere, you should try as much as possible not to be provocative. Because you don't know, but I mean, you know, there are people who will say, as a woman, I mean, you can dress the way you want to dress at home. You can expose whatever you want to expose at home, because that place is controlled. You get to know your audience, you get to know the people you share the same space with. But once you are moving out of that sphere, you should think about the other person and not just you. The person who does not have your background, who does not appreciate nudity. You should
appreciate
the other person's
that we
rights.
find ourselves in. I understand that.
Let me come in.
Okay.
You want to say something?
I just wanted to read what you gave me earlier,
Okay.
just before the program started.
All right.
And this is Penal Code.
Penal code applies in the northern states, the 19 northern states.
Okay.
Then the criminal code in the south. But Lagos has taken it a step further. They now have the criminal laws of
I
Lagos
see.
State 2011.
Okay.
It actually helps. Most of these things you cannot situate as rape. They have captured it in their 2011
Yes, I see
law.
that. I see the
For
huge
instance, technically, carnal knowledge must be with one instrument and nothing more. But Lagos state law has said anything you do comes within sexual assault punishable, whether you use stick or any instrument or whatever.
Yes,
Yes.
that's so
And
important.
irrespective of gender, right? Because
the
Yes,
penal
it
code,
says any person.
the
Any
penal
person.
code hasn't gone there. The penal code just said a man is said to commit rape who has sexual intercourse with a woman in any of the following circumstances: against her will, without her consent, with her consent, where her consent has been obtained by putting her in fear of death or hurt, and blah blah. You understand?
Yeah.
But Lagos knows that they have moved.
The definition
Yes.
has been
They
broadened.
have to
Yes, it's
expand it
been
to
broadened.
capture those conducts that ordinarily were not there in the old law.
Which is very good, really. And I think that's why the old law needs to be revised.
Yes,
or something,
and look
because-
at Lagos, penetration through the anus, vagina, mouth, or any other opening in the body, or another person with a part of his body or anything else without the consent of the person is still punishable.
Because
So you see where they
anything
expanded
else-
without consent.
Yes.
anything
I'm
else
glad you
matters a
clarified
lot.
that, because some people feel, well, you know, even if I did it with a stick, like you said, it's not, then it's really not rape. It is rape.
You know,
It is
I
rape.
didn't think about that until now. I've seen videos where maybe some woman stole somebody's phone and then she's completely disrobed, and then people are poking things into her body and all that. Now that I think about it, that's beyond assault, that's rape.
Yes, it is.
So I think
In
the
the
move
Lagos
is
state
for
context, if
other
we're
states
talking
to
about Nigeria.
To amend.
their laws
Yeah,
to
yeah.
capture
It will make
this.
sense. Now, what is defilement? What's the difference between
Good.
rape and defilement?
When you come to defilement, mostly under the criminal code, you have defilement of female under 11, under 14, under 16. So in defilement, this issue of consent is immaterial.
Okay.
Yes, whether you give consent or not. Now, these are the older laws. We have current ones: Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. We have the Child Rights Act.
Okay.
We have the NAPTIP, National Trafficking in Persons Prohibition Act. So all these laws now capture these things, and they put the ceiling at 18. So anything below 18, consent is immaterial.
Okay.
So I think it's also a movement out of the other little divisions. Once you are below 18 at the time of the incident, it is not, however, you know the law is an ass.
Okay.
It is not in the mouth of the person to say she consented.
Okay.
But the law says it shall be a defense to the accused person to say that, oh, I thought she was above 18.
What
And
is-
you know that some people are actually looking 25 when
way
they are
older
16.
than them.
Yeah,
Which brings
yeah.
me to, so
Especially
sorry,
now.
Devan, but I have a question to ask. So what is the proper chain of events? What steps do I take if I feel I have been defiled, I've been raped, assaulted sexually? What is the right thing to do?
Okay, I'm
What
coming.
should I do?
Let me now go there. Remember, for you to successfully prosecute a person for any of those offenses, rape, defilement, call it whatever, there must be corroboration. That's where we're trying to go now.
Corroboration with the
Corroboration,
person that
there must be
assaulted me?
corroborative evidence.
Like proof.
Corroboration
How?
is different from collaboration.
I know, I understand.
Supportive evidence.
Yes.
You don't just,
Okay,
so
I get you.
that is where you're going. So if you are raped, defiled, or your daughter is defiled, and you
No
do
evidence.
hush, 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 and stay, and after some time you come out. One, medical evidence. Where is it? To show penetration. Did she scream? That's why at times they said she didn't shout, she didn't do it, there was their mark of violence. It's to acquire, to get that corroborative evidence.
That's the hard
Because
part.
in the absence of that corroboration, it's an uphill task prosecuting the offender.
Offender. Now, I was going to ask.
So the earlier, the better.
Okay.
Take steps.
Immediately.
In instances of defilement, what if the offender is also under 18?
Yeah.
If the person is under 14, yes, but once he's 14 and above, a male, it qualifies.
Okay.
Wait. So if a 17-year-old
He's
young
raped.
man
He's raped.
does something with a 17-year-old girl,
He's
the young man can get into trouble,
Yes.
but the young girl can't.
Yes.
he has raped her despite the fact that
Because
he has defiled her
under
despite the fact that
the Children and Young
age-mate-
Persons Law, they also have categories. A child under 7 years is incapable of committing an offense.
Okay.
Incapable. That even if he or she committed, he use gun and shoot somebody, the law says you cannot commit that offense, so no guilt. Then if it's above 7 but below 14, the person can be held liable, provided that it must be proved that at the time of doing that act or making the omission, she had the capacity to know that she was doing a wrong thing. Then below 17, the same thing. It's only from 17 and above that when you commit an offense. But with the Constitution now, another law is 18. That is when the law will hold you liable immediately. Whether you claim you know or not, but other one, there must be evidence to show that at the time you did that act, you had the capacity to know that what you were doing was wrong. But under 7, whether you kill somebody, there's no case.
Well, you see, my issue with this rape thing is that, according to the Nigerian law, is that it is gender bias. You know, only females can be raped.
Yes.
Only females can be raped. Don't you think that it's something that we need to look into again?
I was going to ask him that.
something we
With
should
all these
amend?
evolving trends of bestiality and all these
Yes.
nonsense they are doing, yes, you are correct, because many young men are falling victims to
Yes.
women. There is a case where a lady teacher was teaching in one of these federal colleges, Federal Science and Technical College. She would just seek out a young boy, come and escort me, I want to go and buy something. She would drive the person to her house, finish another week, she would carry another person.
Wow.
You can imagine.
But my concern is not
It was the
just
co-tenants
about
that
women, men.
had to raise alarm.
I mean,
Every
men
time you're
assault
coming with
boys.
different- Who are these people?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know,
So,
men assault boys too, and because
Nowadays,
they are not the gender of rape. I mean, it's not rape because none of them.
I will come to, law exists for us. It's in the society. The triggers to most of these conducts of man-woman relationship and of recent this other nonsense, woman to woman, man to man. To me, I have looked to see that it depends on the individual. What are your preferences? Like women, for instance, there is no free lunch. Once a man starts being too nice, underline the word too. Tell your kids, you understand? Watch it. I'm a man. Don't worry. Just take 3 gallons of this juice. Just take. Go. No. So somebody will be coming close. Brother, uncle. She's innocent, or she doesn't have anything. But the man must have something in mind. So it's the duty of the parent or guardian. When you see these things happening, like my Bible says, when you see this thing happening, know that the end has come. Know that something is wrong. You understand me? You have to open up. It's not the issue of when it happens, you start screaming. Men are very clever. Once you show resistance, not apart from robbers and kidnappers, any reasonable man, once you try, the person withdraws. But if you continue playing along, when it will happen, you won't like it. It's rape, you won't quarrel. But you'll be pain in your mind. This man has taken, that's the trauma. You continue to live in that burden. You don't know who to tell because, like I said, if you say your parents will, what made you go to that extent? Instead of helping you to come out of that guilt, they'll put more guilt on you. Some people have committed suicide over it.
You mentioned the corroborative evidence. If you watch some of these crime shows produced in America, you hear, oh, this lady was raped, and they quickly take the person to the hospital, and there's a rape kit that they use where they check under your fingernails in case you scratch the person. They'll check for if there's any residue of semen or whatever. Do we have those kind of things in place? Because I know you deal with a lot of these cases. If I go to the hospital and this is what happened to me, will they treat me? Is there a standard operating procedure for women who have been
There,
raped?
once you make your report to the relevant security agency, then they know what to do. Your own is to make your reports because you are not an expert. They
Because
know
it's
what
hard
to
to
do.
gather evidence when it's 2 days after and I've realized, okay, I need to do something. I need to report someone. Well, how are you supposed to gather the evidence then?
And I guess that's why he said do something immediately.
Immediately, yes.
But we all know that's not always the case.
A girl was raped. She didn't care. She got pregnant. I think the 4th month of the pregnancy, the parents discovered, no, she was staying with people. She was a househelp. And they went to hospital. She had HIV, apart from the pregnancy. These are the reasons why communication is key. Once you see your child growing, there's no need hiding this. Sit the person down. One of our lecturers used to say it. He said, what's the point of sewing a knife, both edges? You go and put it under the table and you go. The kids will come and hold it at the cutting edge and it will cut their hands. Bring it out, say, come. This thing is knife. See it. If you touch it here, it will injure you. See where you hold it. Tell them, if you are tempted, use condom. We say, it's good. We don't say that. But that is the truth. You better discuss it with them. Tell them how men behave. The only school you go before your children is experience. Or you might have stopped in primary school, your child might go to the university later. But what you gather growing up, you must impart it to them. Tell the ones you know, the ones you had, the ones you experienced, they need to be sufficiently equipped with knowledge of situations that can lead them to problems. Women are very honest at times in dealing with men, but men are not as honest. That is the truth.
You see, Nike, I think we kind of are touching on the aspect of victim shaming, where we haven't used that nomenclature yet, but we're hovering around it.
Yeah.
And I think, to a certain degree, I understand, although I don't agree with why it happens. As a female, it's almost impossible to attain full maturity and not have had 1 or 2 unpleasant encounters with a male where you are not expecting something fishy to happen. It's almost impossible. It's so bad that even in the markets, that's why recently in Lagos, one of these popular markets in Lagos, there was an entire movement of women that went through the market screaming, don't touch me, carrying placards and all that. It's bad enough that, that's why I say it's not about dress. Whatever you're wearing, my size, somebody will hold you. And any excuse, have you ever seen where 2 girls are fighting and men come to separate the fight? They'll grab the breasts, and all this. It's like you're a toy or something. Whichever part of you is better endowed, whether it's your chest area or it's your backside, or if you are unlucky enough to have the so-called figure 8, you are like a walking target. As you pass, in the market, somebody will fondle your bottom, somebody will grab your breast, and so you on the low down, it is expected that you already have an idea of how men function. So why did you allow yourself to be in an enclosed space with this one man? Are you going to claim you don't know
what's going
that
to
this
happen?
is how? But you see, it depends on the kind of person. If I'm with the medical doctor, the last thing I'm thinking of is that something weird will happen or should happen. He's in a position of authority and trust over me.
Trust, yes.
Same thing with maybe so-called men of God and so on and so forth. So that even when maybe the person is going beyond the pale, you're telling yourself, no, not really. Nowadays, there's so many cases of incest. Fathers, babies, 2-year-olds, you're hearing, I don't know what's going on, whether people are taking stock, I don't know what's going on. So people who should ordinarily be in a position of authority, that you don't doubt that they have good intentions toward you, your uncle, your most senior brother, your father, all of a sudden, you're hearing these stories and you're like, in which space are women actually safe?
Safe, yeah.
When there's a child out there that's not getting the same that your own child is getting, the difference will tell.